Welcome to Module 2, where we ask, how does informality influence everyday life in African cities? In this module, we acknowledge that if informality is the predominant mode of living for urban Africans, in other words, normal, then we need to think about and plan our cities accordingly. Instead of seeing informality as a problem that can only be solved through formalization, we argue that there are ways to approach the city and its transformation by working with a grain of informality. I start by unpacking the realities of informality. The majority of urban Africans are living in informal housing and are also engaged in informal work. Informality needs to therefore be thought of as normal. Here I offer ways to rethink informality in productive ways. We then meet Caroline Skinner and Michael Uwemendimo. Caroline is the Executive Research Director at WeGo, which stands for Women in Informal Employment, Globalizing and Organizing, and she's a senior researcher at the African Centre for Cities. Michael is a founder of CMAP, a collaboration between local and international community organizers, filmmakers, broadcasters, urban planners, architects, designers, university researchers, and most importantly, ordinary people from across Port Harcourt's informal settlements. This input takes the form of a conversation where Caroline and Michael talk about the complexities and nuances of how informality is thought of. They propose constructive ways to think about informality in African cities in relation to informal work and service delivery. In order to locate these discussions in context, Caroline then introduces informality in relation to informal work, particularly related to street trade in African cities. She uses the case of Durban to illustrate that NGOs and municipalities can collaborate in meaningful ways to not criminalize people's livelihoods, but rather support them. Caroline then introduces Richard Dobson from Isiye Itafuleni, who reflects on street trade and urban infrastructure. Richard is a co-founder and project lead for Isiye Itafuleni, a Durban-based NGO that aims to achieve spatial justice and equitable access to sustainable livelihoods for informal workers in urban public space. Richard shares his organization's experience of working with traders and the municipality to redesign a central transport node in Durban. You will find links to Isiye Itafuleni's project information on the platform. Following Richard's reflections, we turn to listen to the perspectives from street traders in Durban. We then move all the way across of the continent to Port Harcourt in Nigeria. Michael Uwemendimo joins us again to share the work of his organization CMAP. I return at the end of the module to draw together some reflections.